Let's talk about toree for the Nintendo PC. Okay, let's talk about the new Toree 2 update. This, not this level specifically, just like this update in general, this is what toree should be, this is what toree has to be in future, right? These linear toree 1 and toree 2 levels have a place. These levels, though, and Jumble Jam, because both of them are really, really cool, these do so much that the original levels from 1 and 2 don't do, that are so positive for toree. They almost feel like sort of betas. They almost feel like you're like, instead of being fully formed levels, which they are, but you know, I think you can definitely agree that things like these collectibles can be taken to a further degree, right? To sort of a higher inclusion. I think in that aspect, this really feels like sort of a trial for something much bigger that could happen in a potential toree sequel, right? So for the first level, there are basically 4 types of collectible, or 3 collectibles, but you've got the balls, you've got the stars like normal, you've got the ice creams. The ice creams are like stars in Mario. You need them to advance. In this case, you only need the ice creams to get to the end of the level. But in a toree sequel, perhaps ice creams could be used to gate off progress to future levels or secret areas or something like that. That's just an idea. That's something that Mario has already done. So I don't know if you want to go for that. But it's an idea, right? It's an idea. I thought this was cool, having these guys here just to sort of give you more to do. And your last thing that's not really a collectible, but is kind of a collectible, is these little monitor things, which are a bit too scary for me. Not this one, but the other one. But you know, they're very. It's a very cool idea to have sort of a more open, and in reality, this level gives you sort of the illusion of openness, when in reality it is sort of split off into like really 2 sections, but arguably 3, because you've got the floor, which is where for some reason all of these are. I think that was kind of misguided, because although you want to flesh out the grounded area just as much as the upstairs, it ends up making these feel kind of trivial, because you literally, as you go round in this circle, you will find all 4. It doesn't really feel like I'm finding anything so much as I'm just like passing by them and just collecting them as I go, because they're so immediately obvious. I think it was a cool idea to have more ice creams than are necessary. It means that there are tasks that, well, there's one task that you can skip out on, which is any task that you don't feel like doing. But yeah, like I was saying, you've got the ground, you've got up here, and arguably this is a separate area, but really all it has is 1 ice cream and a mini game that gets you a second ice cream. Which, like, it's cool that this is in the game, but I think that justifiably, I kind of understand why it wasn't in the game originally, even though it was designed for the game. Like, this was not designed for the winter update, but it is part of it. It's because it's boring. It's like a cool thing when you hop in it, but then you just kind of go in a circle. And I don't really know what you could do with this other than that. So, I mean, it's not really a criticism of the bird, it's more of a criticism of its inclusion. But I think it's a cool nod for toree fans who saw this maybe from the Patreon or whatever. It is a cool nod. I was happy to see it, you know? So there is that. So if we move on to the next level, this level is such a good idea, but I don't love the execution. In fact, I don't like the execution because so for me the problem was not finding the light bulbs, although that is kind of an issue where it's like once you have maybe half or more of the light bulbs, finding the next, and granted there are more light bulbs than you need, which you would think solves this problem, but in my experience it doesn't. I did really feel like I was spending a lot of time looking and just retreading old ground, which wasn't super fun. So one way to do that is just make it more obvious where they are, or just add more, because I know you added more than are necessary, but again, it's still really quite trivial to get lost and not know where to go next. And another thing is locating the places where you need to put the light bulbs is also difficult. Like they're I don't know. I had trouble like locating those spaces the first time I played, and I think that's a bad thing. However, I love how vertical this level is. I love how big and open it is as well. Like I was complaining about the last level, saying that it wasn't open enough for like a collectathon level. Really, this is big enough for the kind of level that it is, and it feels really fun to run around in, and ironically, get lost in, get sort of stuck into it, and just and run around. So, like, what I would do to improve this level, just give us an indication of where the next thing is, or like maybe, yeah, just like if I like have placed a light bulb in one place, just maybe put a little red ring around the next space that I need to go to, because it was appreciably difficult to locate that myself, and I think that took some of the fun out of it for me, because I liked collecting the things and having a goal, but I didn't like not knowing where to go. That was boring. So, I mean, the level's great, but that's what I would change about it. And then you have level 3. It's just a toree level. This is back to your sort of linear toree 1 and 2 kind of vibe. And that's cool, and I appreciate it. But that gives me very little to say comparatively. It's a straight line kind of level. You just run in the direction that the level naturally takes you. And of course, there is a 4th level, but it's just this one backwards. And that's fine, because the whole level is sort of designed with you, like, you're supposed to take note of the fact that you can go backwards. Maybe even as toree, you will go backwards, although as far as I'm aware, there's never a reason to. I'm pretty sure all of the stars are on the beaten path, which is good, because you don't want to encourage your player to take this path just to reward them for beating it with another opportunity to take that path, I guess. So you beat the level. Maybe I have to do it as toree. You beat the level, you deliver the present, and you get to play as Regina and Mac. That's really awesome and epic. However, they're just a reskinned toree. You can't do any of Regina and Mac's signature moves that I don't know a lot about, because I only played the game briefly. So I was just disappointed to find out that I couldn't ground pound, you know what I mean? It seems really strange to sort of give you this new character to tinker around with, but they're just a reskinned toree. So that was weird to me. So, you play the level backwards. Let's review the level backwards. It's not good. It's not very good. I found it just a little frustrating, and not in the way that it was like a fun challenge or an interesting challenge, more in the way that these things have weight. I mean, they send you way too far. So the handling is kind of like, you've got these sections which are just like, they're supposed to be kind of on railsy, where you just like get launched in one direction, and then the little circular things launch you way too high. I'm having to counteract the momentum by holding backwards, and then you just miss them sometimes, which is also but then you don't. Here's the thing: you don't die for missing them. You do die for jumping into them, and I went the other way. And you might think, oh well, you went to the left of it, but that doesn't matter. You go to the right of it, the same thing happens. The solution here is, well, there's a number of things, but like, you can jump from below. If you jump from below, you'll hit it. But it just feels really awkward to play. And this is just a typical toree level, but worse. Like, the other levels have the excuse, and I'm not saying those levels are bad, right? Like level 1, 2, 3, or 1 and 2 mostly. I'm not saying 1 and 2 are bad, but I'm saying that any shortcomings they have, at least they have the excuse of being new formats for toree. This doesn't get that benefit because it's the same thing we've done before. It's just not done very well. And don't get me wrong, the beaten path for level 3, going from here to the goal, that's fine. That's good toree. It's nothing interesting, but it's fine. The Regina and Max section is frustrating in a way that it feels like the game does not intend. And I can't think of that as anything other than bad game design. So, what do I think for toree Winter Update? It's good. It's, I would say that I was more excited, more happy with Jumble Jam. But Jumble Jam was kind of an expansion on the format that toree 1 and 2 had already sort of created. Whereas these are new ideas. At least level 1 and 2 are new ideas. So even though I thought those levels were better, maybe, overall, I think that the ideas that this update puts forward are a really good direction for toree. Like I've said before, don't get rid of the linear levels. But levels like these are really good to spruce up the way the game can be. Collectathon aspects, or just like goals within the level. Like, you can't get to, because toree kind of already did this. Pyro Palace. You'll notice that like this has been done before. Pyro Palace is sort of the very earliest way, but like with toree, it's not possible to get over here without first going over here to sort of raise this bridge, or not raise it, but turn it. So toree has done sort of objectives within the level before, and that's so good, because what it means is that toree is not just a mad dash to the end of the level, it has routing potential within the game, which is super, super important, because you are encouraging, like, obviously toree has a big speedrun community, and I would never say that you have to put that community ahead of the casual player base, but toree actively encourages everyone to beat the levels quickly. Be that on an official capacity, going on speedrun.com and competing with other players, or just trying to get A ranks to unlock the next character. Toree encourages you to go fast. And so having levels where you have to actually route it out and figure out the fastest way to beat it instead of just running to the finish with most levels, that is a really engaging way to encourage replay value. It makes the game more fun for people like me, and it makes the game more challenging to get those S ranks. A ranks and S ranks in the new levels are not based on execution solely. Like, I was able to S rank all the Toree 2 levels in the hour that I got the game because I had played Toree. And so I knew the way to go fast. I knew the way is just to sort of run really good. But in the levels, I haven't S ranked them all yet. Like, it's really cool to sort of have that secondary objective within the level, to encourage people to route it, find a different path from other players, and ultimately find the fastest path is the goal of speedrunners. So I think that we need more of that. I think that knowing that, I hope Toree 3, whenever it comes out, which I'm assuming will not be soon, probably not this year, I'm hoping that it can be the best Toree game yet, because you clearly have all the ideas there. You just need to work on the execution, which is what a sequel gives you the opportunity to do. Toree 3, it probably won't be called Toree 3 because that's just confusing, but the third Toree game gives you the time to develop those ideas, whereas pushing out a free content update a couple months after the game came out might not give you that same opportunity. So all I'm saying is, you have the ideas, go work on them, or work on a different game first. Don't just dedicate your lives to Toree, but you know what I mean. Go figure it out, because I'm not a game design genie. I just like video games.